Hi guys, welcome to the Shift Handover. I'm here today, my name is Dan Sharp and I'm joined by...
I'm Mark Smith.
And the reason we're bringing this podcast to you is because between us we have, would you say, between 40 and 50 years?
Wow. How many years you put in so far?
Well, I've done 3 and you've done 47.
We're off to a good start. 32 years. 32 years.
32 years. And most of that time's on the doors, isn't it, for you?
Yeah, I mean, certainly the first 20 were. Then I started to transition a bit, but yeah, quite a lot.
Yeah.
What about yourself?
So, yeah, I mean, the door work's been a consistent theme all the way through. I would say... Yeah, I'd say 18 years, 19 years, but it wasn't consistent. There were times when I retired, came back, retired, came back, and again, from door work in particular. But I ventured into other areas of security. But it is the door work that kind of unites us and how we met each other. And
so there you go, 50 years experience.
Yeah.
50 years. And we only looked in our 20s, so...
Yeah,
well. People won't believe that.
Yeah. I think you're putting a lot of faith in my editing skills there. But yeah, no. The reason we wanted to do this is because I'm speaking for myself here, but the security industry honestly saved my life, and I've got so many good things out of it, and I feel it's important to give something back and help guide people coming into the industry, people who are new into the industry. It can be a very dangerous job, you know. One thing that we've pre-agreed is that this isn't going to be a podcast where we talk about war stories. That time when Mark fought off a whole rugby team on his own while I was doing the toilet check, we won't get that in there. Listen, those toilets need to be checked. Right?
They did.
And thank God Mark was there. But this isn't going to be that kind of podcast. This is going to be we want to just help people coming into it and how to practice safely.
Yeah, I think the objective is really to give security professionals, newbies coming into the industry and existing and seasoned professionals, some content, somewhere, a platform where they can go and watch and listen to what we have to say. We can talk about good practice. I like you, I'm not one to dwell on the negative. Of course, there will be times when we're going to talk about bad practice, but we're not about that. We're about it to compare, but we're about positive. We're about good practice. And I've always said that, unfortunately, the job is a thankless job, and I don't mean that because it shouldn't be. It doesn't get the respect it deserves. And I think we want to bring that. We want to uplift that. We want to say, look, if you're doing this and you're doing it right, you deserve respect for this job. It's not an easy job. And for all those guys and girls out there that are working on the door, getting onto working on the door in the security industry, we want to we want to show appreciation for that, and hopefully help guide and mentor them along their journey. Because I don't know about you, Dan, but I intended to do it for 3 or 4 years. And 32 years later, I've not had a break from it. You know, I don't do it as my sole career now, but I have not stopped in 32 years for a job that was only supposed to last 2 months. So, you know, those guys and girls out there that are just getting into it thinking they're having a little dabble, 20 years later, you'll probably still be out there on the front line.
Yeah, and that's true for me as well. I remember saying 1 badge, 2 badges, so each badge lasts 3 years. Get in, get out kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to that renewal time, you think, just have it in the background, just in case, just in case my main job falls flat, or and then it's you're right, it's got a way of bringing you back in, isn't it? And I think what people from our generation, when they talk about the security industry, can get in the habit of is critiquing the industry in general, and talking about the negatives and things that they don't like to see, and not much appreciation of the positives it's given them.
Absolutely.
And an understanding that we're now in 2026, the world has changed, and there will be things that you and I may believe is right that just isn't right for this generation or this world anymore. And that's also okay, because, you know, this is why we've named it the Shift Handover. You know, our time has gone now. It's hard, I know. It's not nice, it's uncomfortable. But this is a handover to the next generation.
Absolutely.
So,
so why don't we? So let's roll it right back. Let's tell us how you started, what got you into security, and have a bit of an overlay of where you've been, what you've done, and I'll do the same so people know where our backgrounds
how
are.
I started. I'd have been about 17 when I started, working stewarding festivals and events. I had no intention of becoming a doorman. Through my 16, 17, through my late teens, I used to hate doormen because they'd find out I was underage and throw me out of nightclubs.
Yeah.
So, you know, my first experience of I mean, they were only doing their job. Some of them rightly, some of them I can look back through my eyes now and think they shouldn't have done it that way. But yeah, I kind of fell into it because I would do stewarding at festivals, and I was getting paid £6 an hour for, you know, doing things like horse racing events, concerts, that kind of stuff. Telling the company I was working for that I was 18 when I was actually 17. They didn't check too thoroughly.
No.
You never would have done that, would you?
Different then,
you never would have allowed that.
Definitely not.
And then someone said to me, "You get your SIA license, that's £6 an hour, can be £10 an hour." As soon as I turned 18, 19, I went through the course. And
so what year would that have been then? Because the SIA came in 2004.
Yeah.
So you must have been just before that.
It would have been out just after. So
Sounds about right, actually, yeah.
2000, I want to say 2006, 2007.
Makes sense.
Because I left school in 2004. Sorry.
Wow.
But yeah, I remember the SIA being very new. The SIA very new. And in fact, I think there were people who were on the doors for a long period of time having to come up to their first renewals. So it would have been about 2006, 2007. And yeah, I just kind of fell into it one day and never looked back. And being an angry young man with a chip on my shoulder, having an SIA license, having a reason to keep myself out of trouble, not get a criminal record because I didn't want to lose my source of income, is the first building block that went on to be the rest of my life. And, you know, thankfully, by the grace of God, I'm not, you know, I'm living a productive life now. Without that SIA license probably keeping me safe from getting into trouble, my life could have looked very, very different.
Yeah.
So how about yourself? How did you?
So I started in 94.
Okay.
94, I was doing some cash in hand work at a bowlplex for about a year. It was all right. It was just something that I did because a friend of mine at the gym said, "Do you want to do a bit of door work or bouncing?" Which is basically what it was then. But that was 94, and I wasn't there very long, and I got introduced to a guy who was just setting up the security for a brand new bar in town, which was the Brass House pub. So in 95, I moved from this bowlplex to this company called Frontline Security. And Frontline Security was run by a guy called Peter Boucher. His style was unique of the time. He was an ex SBS. He was very sharp, smart, timekeeping was good. He was all about training, procedure, protocol. So I, as an 18 or 19-year-old, that was a good time for me to start properly. That was really my start because he wanted you in a suit, shirt and tie, polished shoes, looking the part. And I liked that. I didn't want to be the bomber jacket style of security anyway, even though I'd only decided to do it part-time. it was still good for me. And his company we started the Brass House, like I say. It was an exclusive, although it was a massive bar, it's still there now, different name, but it was over 21s. It was no trainers, no ripped jeans. It was smart. It was nice, and I think we had a 7-man team. And although I just come into it, the team was overwhelming. It was phenomenal. You had Trevor Ambrose, these some names you may not know, but Trevor Ambrose, who was the world kickboxing champion at the time, his brother Wayne Ambrose, who was a champion, Marcel Kelman, who was a British boxing champion, a guy called Greg Mentor, Roger Akuza. You probably met Roger Akuza for your time. But the team was phenomenal. And I was like, oh, God, I don't know. I'm just like, I just do as I'm told. And through that time, the company which we'll come on to later, but it was expanding across the southwest. So, to cut a long story short, and one of my what I believe is one of my assets that I bring to the security game is that I had the opportunity to work Bournemouth, Southampton, Winchester, roll out into Reading, Bristol, Bath, Cardiff, Swansea, and all these different places in a matter of like a 3 or 4 year period.
Oh, wow.
For Frontline. So I got to understand the different cultures, the different type of security that worked in different towns. So yeah, I started there, and I've never stopped it, but through different, businesses that I do or have done, or different jobs, I've my commitment to it has been less or more dependent. But then in 2006, I partnered up with a guy called Chris and a guy called Mark, and we set up our own security company, which you worked for a while.
I did.
And that company at the time, for an independent company, it basically took over the town, if I'm honest. There were goods and bads to that, but I learned a lot. But yeah, so my time has been pretty up and down. I've learned a lot and experienced quite a bit. And I'm still here now. So let's say we'll talk about it, I'm sure, but
yeah,
that's where it started anyway.
And that's how we met. You employed me.
Yeah.
Although I would say that by the time I'd come work for you, I was seasoned. I had a lot of experience behind me already at that point. Kind of on the path to retirement. I kind of didn't want to hold on to that identity as just a doorman anymore. I was looking at expanding my life into other areas. So, although I've always kept a high standard of everything I want to do, at least try to. When I worked for you, I gave you the best I had. It wasn't my priority at the time. So I guess, I think maybe I came and worked for you a few years too late, because actually when you took over the town, I was on the other side of that. Other side, and I'm
absolutely.
And actually, I think and it's really interesting because we've not had this conversation off air, but I owe you a really overdue apology.
Oh yeah, what's that for?
Don't worry, I've not robbed any money off you or anything like that. So when I first came into the security industry, I was, like I said, 18, 19 years old when I got my license. And like anything, you're surrounded by people who are older than you, more seasoned than you. And any job you go into, you want to make a good first impression. Your boss tells you to do something, you show up early. Your boss changes the venue you're at, you take it on the chin. Yeah, no problem. I need you to do me a favour. Can you go there instead? Yeah, no problem. And looking back on it now, I felt like I was walked over by the company I was working for. And it made me quite cynical to security companies, and it made me quite cynical to area managers. And ironically, and this isn't a lesson I want to give to people, because actually a lot of my lessons have come from my mistakes, where I've got things wrong, and I want to acknowledge that I was not the perfect doorman. No one is perfect at anything you do.
No.
But I remember I kind of developed a mentality of, when you work for a security company, you need to be difficult to work you need to be difficult to manage.
Right.
So I don't know how much of it you remember, but I'm pretty sure I wasn't the easiest employee, and I didn't work for you for very long.
Yeah.
And I often wonder if you chucked me over to a nice one-man bar out the way.
So that's interesting. So are you saying that you chose to be difficult to manage?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why is that?
And I think this is a conversation we can have, because negotiating the dynamics of the culture is part of the job. You know, if you when you are being told by your area manager, I've got no shift for you, but I'm putting you on standby, and then you go, no, you got to shift me or you don't. And then they go, okay, fine, I'm going to put you at this venue. But an hour before it changes. And that happens for a few weeks in a row. And then all of a sudden, an hour before, that phone call comes in, you go, mate, I ain't got a shift for you. They went from 5 to 4 last minute. And you know you've been lied to. And it makes you very distrusting. And this isn't nothing to do about my standards actually on the job. This is my managing your manager, if you like. And I came away from it with and it wasn't just you, it was other security companies I worked for after that as well. I was very much like, I've got a few years in the bank now. A few people know that I know what I'm doing. You know, I can do a good job, but I'm going to be difficult to manage. I won't work at that venue. I don't want to work there. You need to find me something, you know.
Yeah.
And almost using the fact that there were a lot of new people coming into the industry and maybe putting value on my own work, but expressing it in the wrong way.
Yeah.
And then I met you, and then I realised that actually you were very fair, you were very reasonable, and and we've got to know each other in other avenues since. And yeah, I was a dick.
It's interesting.
and I apologise for that.
And it's interesting to hear that, because I've managed or employed over those years thousands of people, and the frustrating thing about that is that I get what you're saying, and I get what brought you to that place, and you're by far not the only one. Lots of people think like that, but it's a snowball, because the more you are like that, the more, as a company owner or a boss, obviously we pick up on that straight away. Yeah. So it's like, how much time am I going to waste with this guy or her, because they keep dicking me about. So it doesn't actually help anyone.
And
that behaviour cycle is the same for me then as well.
Yeah.
Because then you just get your back up even more.
Yeah.
You know, for a company, you know, and then the frustrating thing is, again, the stuff you just said there, which I totally understand, all those things about, you know, they dropped the security or they were lying. Yeah, of course, some do. But I'm going to go back to being a thankless job. This is the problem we deal with clients.
Yeah.
Because this is what they're like. You know, we want 5, we want 6, we want this, we want 1, we want 2, we want 3. And they'll cut it last minute. Or for me, for a company provider, much as it's annoying for you and it's frustrating from an income point of view, it's actually easier for them to drop one than to suddenly say, we need 2 more tonight, because that is a serious ball ache.
Yeah.
You know, offending the doorman a little bit and saying, I'm really sorry, because you know, you're not lying, it's genuinely cancelled, is one thing, but we can talk about that Monday and we can try to come around that. But getting that call to say we need 2 extra tonight, you either provide it or we get another provider, is a shit situation to be in.
And I guess I never wore that hat.
No.
And I was a much more immature person then than I am today.
Yeah.
And I, you know, to bring a little bit of clarity to it, like I never dicked anyone about in terms of, if I said I was going to be somewhere at 9 o'clock, I would still be 10 minutes early.
Yeah, that's good.
If I agreed a notice period, I would serve that notice period. There are certain standards I did keep myself to, and ironically, that area manager or that employer, I kind of had a better relationship with him later on, because I worked for him a couple of times in different aspects. But I just feel that there's that balance between not being walked over, because it is an industry full of egos and strong, but not going too far the other way. And that's that's not something I really learned until. So yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I accept your apology, Dan. 15 years later.
Yeah. And one thing I will say about you as a boss as well is when the venue I was working at for you decided they didn't want security anymore, and I was essentially poached by a private licensee, and I spoke to you about it. There was no hard feelings. You wished me luck, and I thought, whoa, that wouldn't have happened with other companies I work for.
Yeah,
that would have been, why are you going? So, yeah, I will say I'm not. You were a very fair employer, and this is why you're you're the first person I thought of when brainstorming this idea.
Well, I had a belief. My belief system was always that put yourself in their situation. If an opportunity comes along and you can earn a lot more, or you work in somewhere that suits you, or a venue you've always wanted to work, then why would you not want them, be happy for them to go? And man management is, you've got to genuinely care for these. So obviously they're there to do a job. You're there to do a job. I was there to do a job. But, let them go. Let them do their thing. Because the other thing I didn't want to be that guy that was walking around, and of course people bad mouth, and that's happens. Yeah. But I didn't want to be the guy that. But ultimately, I knew that if I ever saw those people in the street, they weren't going to do anything bad to me because I never mistreated them.
Yeah.
There's a difference between bumping into you saying, "No, that Mark, he's like an arsehole, he does this, does that," but they're not going to say it to me because I wasn't. So when I see them, they're like, "How you doing? I'd love to come work for you again one day or something." Whether I wanted them to work again is another matter, but they were civil. Whereas I know a lot of guys over the years that have had some serious confrontations out of hours because they've really stiffed people, they've not paid them, they've not done things, and those feuds or those grudges go on for years and years, and suddenly, and we all age, we all get older, we're not 25 anymore.
It's true.
I don't want beef on the street. You know what I mean? So, and thankfully I don't get it because I treat people nicely.
Yeah.
And respect. Not well. I say nicely, but firm but fair. And that's the thing. I would stand my ground, but I don't abuse people. I don't take advantage, because I've had it done to me in early years. So I know what it's like. I don't want that.
Yeah. No. It's very interesting you say that, because similar principles I try and maintain when I'm working with customers. Firm but fair. I think, and these are conversations we are going to delve into as well, like how to conduct yourself at a venue, on site, how to treat people. Touch wood, I have never had anyone approach me on the street to have a go at me because I've kicked them out of a venue week before. Yeah. I know people that has happened to. I do know someone who was attacked on his way home. These are real things that we think we're just doing a job, and we are. But people remember that stuff. If you mistreat someone,
and they'll remember it for a long, long time.
Long after you've forgotten it. Long after.
Because a lot of these door staff, if they're particularly aggressive or abusive, there's something about them, an intimidation factor, or if it's not just them, it's the team or who they know.
Yeah.
But you're dealing with 18, 19-year-old kids. 10, 20, 30 years later, you're going to come across them again. So that's why I never took my work home with me. I didn't want to. Doesn't mean situations didn't occur, of course, and I have experienced the situation where it's spilt over, and I've been out socially and things. People have approached me in my earlier years. Sometimes it is unavoidable. If you are that engrossed in the industry, if you're living that industry, it's going to happen. Doesn't mean they're right to do it, but it's going to happen. But you just got to, it's law of averages, you just got to minimise it and keep it to the minimum, whereas some guys on the door, guys and girls, they are just creating. I look at them and I think you are absolutely creating a nightmare life for yourself.
Yeah.
And you know, and it's not just like a night out. You know, Barry, who you just kicked out and put his arm behind his back and called him all names under the sun. He might be the local tyre fitter, or he might be the plumber that comes around to your house 20 years later. And do you know what I mean? Society, just gotta treat people right. You know.
How often have you seen one of the regulars from a venue you're working at on a Friday or Saturday night, and you have an opinion of them that's, let's say negative, but you bump into him on a Tuesday in the high street and he's with his kids and they're the nicest person, you know, and you think, oh my God.
Yeah.
The version of the customer we often meet is not who they are.
No.
The version of the person we meet is someone after 12 pints and God knows what else.
Absolutely.
It's not who they are. And again, maturing. I was young when I came into this industry, so were you. And these are things I didn't understand when I came into it. And another question, as an employer, when you had your company, if I was on shift, my shift finished at 3:00, and I said to you, Mark, I've got to go down to the police station to write a statement because I've been assaulted or I've witnessed an assault or something like that. Can I put it on my timesheet? What would your answer have been?
No. I know, and that's frustrating.
And I'm not criticising you for that.
Yeah.
That's the industry. We're in a business.
No, you're absolutely right.
We're in a business. And I think as an operative, as an employer, that's the biggest lesson, I think, one of the biggest lessons we can give is that if you're ever in a situation where you are down the police station, that's in your time.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can't expect your employer, I mean, your employer will have insurance and liability insurance if you were to get hurt and, you know, the things like that.
But they won't come, no, they're not going to pay for you to write out police statements.
And I've seen doormen, you know, go down the street to want to witness and then call in a crime that's, you know, not ideal, but at the same time, when you're writing that police statement at 4:00 in the morning, I'm going to be in bed and we are not getting paid. So, and I don't want to create a culture of having slopey shoulders and not having that community responsibility, which I think we all have, because I think sometimes it can go too much the other way. Oh no, that guy's getting hurt, but it's down the road. It's not our problem. I don't want that culture either. But again, it's that balance, isn't it?
Yeah, you got to get the balance, you know. And again, it depends on, a lot of it's directed by the licensee, but you know, the job, you have a moral duty. So your license territory, of course, is the bar. Licensing will say it's anything in or near the premises. Yeah. So you do have an obligation there. However, every situation has to be judged by its own merit because, you know, if let's say you've got a female in the bar and you know for a fact that she's vulnerable and she is being followed up the street and you know that the person that's doing it is a major threat, you can't turn a blind eye to that. But it's how you show that due diligence. It's whether you try and bring her back, whether you talk to the individual, whether you call the police. You've got to have, but you as the individual can only make that decision. But yeah, you are right. You know, there came a time where door staff in the early 2000s were so well trained on taking information, note writing, dealing with drugs correctly. They were so well trained that the police were overwhelmed, and it got to the point where they said, "Look, you're calling us all the time. It's great you're confiscating all these drugs. You're dealing with this. You're doing that, scene preservation, all that, but just take a step back." Yeah. They wouldn't say that officially, but that was how it was. Yeah. Because we were too good.
Yeah.
Because they were just gone through the new licensing and all the training, and the hungry, eager staff wanted to make a name for themselves, which was very good, but yeah, it's just too much. So it's getting that balance, mate.
And I think you nailed it on the head. People coming into the industry wanting to prove themselves.
Yeah.
Wanting to prove themselves to their peers, wanting to prove themselves to the licensee, to their area manager, also to the police. And you know, I can imagine. Do the police on a Saturday night want to commit 2 units to a bar just to go and pick up a couple bags?
No.
The venue have confiscated. And technology's changed now, where we may not have had smartphones back then, but take a picture.
That's
get rid of
right.
it, you know. But I don't want to speak for the police, but I would imagine that committing units is something they want to do as sparingly as possible. But yeah, it's that ethical responsibility. But also, if I'm working at a venue, I want that venue to have a good reputation.
Absolutely.
And I care about that venue because my name's attached to it. Especially when I'm working at a venue for a long period of time, you know, I want to see that venue succeed. Now, what I may think is a success and what the licensee may think is a success is two different things, because I want a safe venue, he wants to make money, and again, between you need to find that balance, and that's another dynamic that individuals will have to manage. But what I don't want is, even if there is trouble down the road, people think that's you, even if it's got nothing to do with you, even if it's your venue.
Yes.
You know, we can't go on that street because we can't go to that bar because there's a fight on that street. It's got nothing to do with your venue. But at the same time, if you let it happen and don't stop someone from getting hurt, it's your venue that gets that knock on your reputation, and you as a doorman as well.
Yeah.
Who was there that night? Oh, Dan and Mark. Yeah, no wonder they didn't stop it.
Yeah, absolutely. See, the harsh reality is, unfortunately, like, you know, pubs, clubs need money across the bar.
Yeah.
So we have, when customers are in abundance, they'll let you do what you need to do, turn away the wrong people. You know, the dress code, implement the front door operating procedures. When customers are not there, they will override a lot of them. Not all, but most. Because ultimately, if there's no money coming across the till, there's no bar, there's no us, there's no nothing. And the other thing is, door staff are the highest overhead they have. You know, the amount they pay for door staff, yes, it's not enough, but we're still getting paid more than all the bar staff and the glass collectors and whatever they are. So we will always be the first to go.
Yeah.
And I've always said, if you're very good at your job, you become a victim of your own success.
Yes.
So if you've got a 4-man team, at the end of the night, you're sitting there and there's no incidents, okay, well, we'll go to 3 because you can clearly do it on 4. But do you know what? If we were shit at our job and we were having fight after fight after fight, saying, oh, we need to either get we need 5 or 6 door staff. But because we're very good, we're going to cut it down to 3 now. We are. It's a real tough balancing act.
And without wishing to quote Hot Fuzz, the most important tool in your arsenal is that handover book.
Absolutely.
And that is exactly what you said. If someone's fallen asleep at the bar, you've woken them up and got them in a taxi outside, document it.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you've refused someone for dress code, and they've gone away happy, document it, because you are right. That is what they will look at when they decide how many door staff do we need. And if they don't have any trouble for a long period of time, that number's not going up. You know, and then all of a sudden there could be a team of 5 of you or a team of 4 of you. One of you are going.
Absolutely.
Because you've all been brilliant at your job.
Yeah.
So, you know, job justification is so important, especially in those bigger venues. Those chain venues where they can see how much money we earned last year on the same weekend. Okay, that's our target for the, you know, a lot of the chains work in that way, don't they? And overheads is the one thing they look at. So
this is why I made a conscious decision to try and break into the close protection world, because it's totally different. You don't get that. We're trying to cut corners, we're trying to cut numbers in that world, which will come on to another episode. But they listen, And if I say you need to do this or you need that, okay, well, you're the expert. We will do that. If you need that car, you need this car, you need to go that route, you need 2 guys, we'll do it. Because they're coming to you because they genuinely need to deal with the threat. Whereas the pubs and clubs, they have you there because they need to satisfy a licensing condition or just to do the bare minimum to keep the fights out, keep the troublemakers out. You know as well as I do, and we always said we wouldn't name and shame on here, we won't, but you know of bars that will let stag groups in, they will let large group rugby player, anything in, as long as they're getting the money across the bar. And it's like, we don't care what they do. They want the money, and if they play up, you get them out. That's it. It's the most reactive, unprofessional way of doing things. But it's the industry you're in.
And it's the economic climate we're in as well, because as you alluded to earlier, a lot of these venues would go out of business if they didn't have these troublemakers in there spending their money.
Absolutely.
So it's one thing being reflective of my time, I really struggled with being overruled by a licensee.
Oh, it's awful. Well, if you're good at your job, it's awful.
It was like, because not all, but some licensees will also do it in a way where they're telling the punter you're not in charge.
Yeah.
So what authority have I got in an hour and a half's time when I've got to get them out?
Yeah.
Mate, I'll go to your boss.
Absolutely.
How many times have you stood on a door and you refuse someone? I'm not going to name. Get the licensee out.
Yeah.
Get the licensee out. It's just because it's happened. Overruling door staff happens. I think now my relationship with door work is a lot different, where I'm very much part-time into it now. It's not my main source of income. I don't think I've got it in me anymore to do every Friday and Saturday night for a long period of time and keep the standards I would want to keep. And that's a reality of where I'm at. And I need to have those conversations with myself that, yeah, I can go and do a weekend, and I can do that weekend well. Come Sunday morning, I'm like, I've got my badge in my hand and I've got the scissors there, and I'm like stopping myself at the last minute. And then it's like, okay, I've just done that shift to remind myself why. No, I'm joking. But that's the relationship I've got with door work now. Where if I'm overruled at a venue, probably it's maturity as well. I understand the business and the financial side of it a lot more than I did back then. And it's that quote, isn't it? You know, if 10 years goes by and you're the same person now that you were 10 years ago,
absolutely.
You've made a mistake. And there will be people hopefully watching this podcast, assuming you guys are watching this podcast, that may have had an interaction with me or an interaction with you and go, he's a bloody idiot. I remember him from that venue. And he's talking absolute nonsense. Yeah. So I remember what he was like when he was 21. Yeah, I was 21.
Yeah, this is it. We change, we evolve. But what you said there is interesting, because I 100% agree. The job, it's like being an athlete. It's like, you can't at 25 do the thing at 50 or 40. You can't do the things you do at 25. And I could stand on a door this Friday. I don't do doors really much, but I could stand on a door this Friday and do a very, very good job. But the difference is now I can't run around the daytime doing all my stuff and quickly go home and go, quickly eat, put my jacket on and be effective. Now I'd have to have a few hours before, just chilling out, resting, get my mind right, polish my shit. I enjoy doing it. People, the things that people will think, it's a bit anal. I like doing that. It gets me ready. Polish my shoes, iron my shirt. Because I want to look sharp, I'm ready to go. I look the part, I'm mentally and physically prepared to stand there and do that job that night. But the difference is now, if I have to do that, and also physically, you get more aches and pains as you get older. Yeah, you get more tired. The difference is now I have to prepare to do that. Whereas, mate, in my 20s, early 30s, I would happily do 5 or 6 nights a week. And I would finish at 2, I'd finish at 3, and I'd be up again first thing in the morning. Doesn't matter. And I'd be eager to get back. Now, no way. But the difference is, with you and I, and this is something that viewers will understand, you have to understand yourself to know that going on shift without being prepared makes you irritable, frustrated, and that's when you more like to snap.
Yeah.
If I go to cover something now, I'm rested, I'm prepared, and I'm chilled. Yeah, and you might get a few tossers, but you kind of laugh it off now. But I wouldn't be if I was all tense, hype, because I'm having to do this 4 or 5 nights a week.
Yeah, and obviously as we get older, we have families.
Absolutely.
Children come along, puts a different dynamic on your risk assessing.
Yeah, definitely.
My experiences of doing door work since I became a father is like, whoa, I never knew fear like it, because it's not, the fear isn't, I might get hurt here. The fear is my daughter going, oh, daddy's got a boo-boo. Yeah. Just even thinking about that makes my stomach drop.
Absolutely.
So where before, if I got a bruise or something, you'd kind of laugh it off.
Yeah,
Definitely. But and aging is such a, Father Time's undefeated, right? So
no one beats Father Time. We can slow him down, but we can't stop him.
You may think you're winning, but you're not. And I did a few shifts at a bar just after Christmas, and didn't think anything of it. Just took it for granted that I could do it because I always used to. That Saturday did deadlifts. Not deadlifting as much as you do, but I was doing them anyway.
Yeah.
And that was a hard shift, just being stood up.
I bet it was. And yet years ago, we would hit the gym 3 or 4 days a week, hard, and go on the door, pumped up.
You wore small shirts, didn't you?
Well, they weren't that small, mate. I just had big arms. You got to give me some credit. But yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Tight shirts, loved it.
Yeah, put them in the tumble dryer.
That's it. All right.
Me, not you.
I've met so many people that did do that.
Oh,
I remember I used to work with a guy, and I'd love to say about home, but he used to get his shirt and then he would tailor it so it fit around his bicep. You might know who he is.
Yeah.
But he was actually really good at his job.
Yeah.
But he used to tailor it, and oh my god, he was a lovely guy, and we used to laugh about it. And he was good at his job, but the vanity that
and it's really interesting because when I was 18, 19, 20, I was very skinny. I'd play football, and my nickname on the pitch was Peter Crouch.
Was it
which
really?
kind of gave you an image of what I looked like at the time. So you can imagine and I'm refusing people on a Saturday night, and it's like, you wearing your dad's shirt? It's mine. I just can't find where it fits. But yeah, and then obviously I went in, started using the gym a lot more, and gained a bit of size and stuff. And it's I think we're all guilty of that vanity a little bit.
Yeah, of course.
We are guilty, and that's okay. That's okay.
Well, you're about to walk out in front of hundreds of people, and you want respect.
Yeah.
You're about to walk out in front of a crowd of people that need to know that you are in charge. And I don't mean that with arrogance, but they need to know. It's like look at a police officer. They got to look at you and go, okay, if this guy means business, we need to respect that. So it's how you portray that
and projecting that confidence. Because I'm talking of my more recent experiences. Working in the venue, that I'll be stood on the dance floor surrounded by 18, 19, 20-year-olds that built like you.
Absolutely,
and I'm thinking, oh my God,
yeah,
every single person in this room could kick my head in if they wanted to, but I can't let them know that. So you have to have a little bit of ego and a little bit of arrogance and confidence as well, you know, and you need, because if you're shrinking, if you're timid,
absolutely,
you can't be in this position.
Time to get out. If that's the character you are, then you're in the wrong job.
Yeah.
Or that they are, anyone that gets into it's the wrong job.
Yeah.
They're gonna have a very rude, sad, painful experience at some point.
So when you're working on a door regularly and you've got someone who's new, just got their badge, and they're coming to work at your venue where you've been a long time, or you're managing from an area manager's point of view, and they've got a bit of a temper.
Yeah.
What's your view on that? Like, how would you manage that? Is that obviously you don't want them doing anything stupid, but what are your thoughts? What kind of things do you put in place to help guide them?
So, I mean, ultimately, if they've got a very short fuse, I'm afraid to say that they're probably not going to last. However, if someone's got a bit, you've got to have something about you to work on the door.
Yeah.
And you can be a pacifist, you can be a peacekeeper, which is great, but you've got to have something about you. And if you haven't got that, with all the best will in the world, conflict management and all this, you are going to come across a problem. So that person that's got a bit of a temper, it depends how bad that temper is.
Yeah.
Because if I've got someone who I know can be a bit of a loose cannon, but it's because they're overly confident or they've got that energy about them, I would try and work with it. I would say, look, the first time you lump someone, you're out. The first time you get ridiculously aggressive and we all have to bail you out, you're out. But you've got a level of confidence there, which is good. What we got to do is work on that escalation. And is it the fact that the customer triggers you with something they say or they do? Is it the fact that you pass the baton and you get one of us to take over quicker than the average person? It's getting that balance. But I do know that a really bad temper is a liability in a team. Yeah. It's a liability to themselves, liability to the license, and a liability to us. Because I'm sure you've experienced it. There are people out there which, in the industry, they'll say, "Oh, you want so and so. He doesn't fuck about. You have him." No, he's a liability because when he's not there, yeah, he's a deterrent. He's a bruiser, but he's creating 3 or 4 fights a night.
Yeah,
I'd rather him gone and get someone else in. So that temper, unless you can manage it, they don't last long.
And it's really interesting as well because door work, there are a lot more females in the industry today than there were perhaps when I was working 20 years ago, and that's a good thing because a good female doorman is such a credit to the team.
Massively.
But the culture is very macho. The culture is very it's a manly culture. But oh my God, is it bitchy?
Very bitchy.
Oh my God.
I know.
And it's so funny because you're right. If someone manages to, I don't know, drag someone out who no one thought could possibly do it, or people talk about it. And I think people want that clout of being respected in that way. But I find that if someone you can teach someone self-restraint. You can't teach someone a backbone.
No, impossible.
And and you've got to find that right balance between, is this person willing to learn? And there are people coming in this industry today who may have a temper, who may feel that they have to prove themselves in this very bitchy dynamic. They know that if they back down from a situation, every other doorman in the area is talking behind their back, and then people are saying they don't want them to work there even when they've never met them. How often have you ever heard someone say, "Who have you got working with you next week?" "Oh, I've got so-and-so." "Oh, mate, good luck."
Oh.
But then they turn up and they're good.
Yeah, this is it.
They do the job. So for me, this was the motivation for this podcast because, yes, there's stuff on the job that I think we can help people with. But I think it's working the industry as well. And that's a massive part of actually getting work, because I've known people get work and it's not based on the merit of the work they do. It's based on what people think they do.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, absolutely. Their reputation precedes them. There's guys out there that are seen to be, and girls that are seen to be exceptionally good, but they're not good at all. They've just got a bit of a reputation. And I'll tell you another thing, mate. Unfortunately, we live in an age, and I know we're using podcasts. We live in an age of social media, and you've got guys now getting work just because they look the part on social media.
Yeah.
Well, they've got an Instagram account where they're fucking, doing the punch bag 3 or 4 hours a day, and someone thinks because they're really hard, or they can hit a punch bag, that they're good on their door. It's really the level of training now is good. It can be better, and we can always critique it. But at the end of the day, the training is there, the licensing is there, which it wasn't many years ago. But we're going to come on to it. But the quality is the worst I've ever seen.
You really think that?
Yeah, the actual quality of door supervisor out on the street, on the front line, for me, when I walk around it, is the worst I've seen for a very long time.
Because I mirror that. But I'm also aware that when I started, it was on the rise.
Yes.
So would you say that the quality of doorman today is worse than even when before SIA licensing came in?
Well, it depends. So how you define it. I mean, for me, you need to, we don't want thugs. We want pressure. But mate, why? I'm walking around and I'm seeing guys working doors in Nike trainers. I see guys wearing baggy tracksuit bottoms. There's no uniformity in lot. One's got a high vis, one hasn't. One's got a puffer jacket, one's got an overcoat. And I just look and I think, how do you expect to get respect from good, decent people that come to your bar? They want to come to a bar and see 4 guys in the same clothes, polished shoes, looking sharp, and they think that in it's like the army or the police. There's a camaraderie there because they've taken the time and effort to look the part and look like a team. A lot of these guys now don't look like a team. They look like their own individuals. And as you know, you have to work as a team. You have to look the part. Appearance is so important. First impressions are so important. And unfortunately, I've seen a serious lack of that now. And it's quite sad because it got to a really good level.
Yeah.
And really, it should have continued to improve. So you can only put that down to the security providers and then the licensees. Because ultimately, the licensees have a decision. If the licensees are allowing this to happen, I know it's a spiral because they'll say, well, if you paid us more, we'll get nicer. But ultimately, the licensee is not demanding them to be smart. And if they're not going to demand it, these guys are they're not showing, they don't have the respect.
No.
Self-respect.
And that swiftly leads us on to our next episode in the evolution of the industry from
Absolutely does.
Your time to my time, because I like to think we're different times.
We are different times.
But now there's two more generations removed after me.
Yeah.
I remember saying I was too old for this game 10 years ago. So,
me too.
So, hope you all enjoyed our first episode. Welcome to the Shift Handover. This is a community we want you all to be involved in. This isn't just our channel, this is your channel. So please, any topics you want us to cover, put it in the comments section. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you soon.
See you later. Take care.